Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Scarred Thumb Podcast. David, I'm back at it again. Uh, Another week gone by. It's been pretty good. But we're going to get right into it. Today we're talking about, first off, the article on screen, this ridiculous article. But talk about Castlevania, something that came up on, it's nothing new, but it came up on Twitter. So I think it's interesting to talk about because it shows just one of the many ways that sort of liberalism is ruining art in certain ways because of the sort of hatred it has of white culture and Christianity. And the same thing with Magic the Gathering, too. Magic the Gathering came out. I'll talk a little bit about Magic the Gathering as well, the preview going over their big announcements for this year, or sorry, should say next year. Talking about that because that's a I did enjoy Magic the Gathering. I enjoyed playing it. The game itself, I think, is quite fun. So talking about it is I think is enjoyable. So we'll talk about that too, and maybe a few things. We'll see how time treats us. Hey, good morning, X Runner. Good morning, Deborah. Good to see you guys. So we'll get into that, and we'll just see how things go as far as how much we'll cover. Yeah, I could take a long time ranting about, especially the angel thing, but let's get into this first article. It's a doozy. It is a doozy, guys. And let me know if the sound's all right. It looks good right now, but if it's anything wrong with it, let me know. So this is from Rock Paper Shotgun by this balding freak named Edwin Evans Thurwell, who's a news editor. And it's titled, Why Play a Fascist? Unpacking the Hideousness of the Space Marine. Oh my gosh. This looks pretty bad. In order to make Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 enjoyable, in order to make it enjoyable, Saber Interactive had to make this Space Marine seem less Space Marines. That is to say, less like a semi-lobotomized, hypnotically indoctrinated slave soldier in the thrall of an uncaring and possibly non-existent god. In the words of Rick Priestley, the primary writer for Rogue Trader in the 1980s. So, a canon. It's always funny when they go back to the sort of old canon of a 40K when, like, immediately this guy the second they changed the custodies to female. So, yeah, there were already female Space Marines. Well, but that's good then. Cool. Awesome. They always go back to the old stuff only when it suits them. Warhammer 40K is supposedly satirical. It's supposedly satirical. Definitive grim dark Imperial man, and they've said it's satirical in the sense that this is what the world could be if it went so far off the rails, with as far as overpopulation got in control of by one person and expanded to the stars. Statism, yeah. Uh, so the Space Marines are genetically engineered engineered sons and warrior monk of the Emperor, Masonic figure, reduced to a dreaming corpse in the Golden Throne. His immense psychic mission serves as a kind of spiritual lighthouse for us. He's just kind of going over Space Marines. It says Space Marines are grotesque supermen clad in motorized armor who exist to exterminate the alien, the mutant, and the unclean. They are the ultimate embodiment of patriarchal, xenophobic fascism. Ooh. This is why they're so cool, by the way. This is the source of some irony, given that themselves barely qualify any longer as human, according to the ideals of the uncorrupted humanity they champion. In some ways, they are the ideal, like superhuman. Yeah, they're genetically engineered, genetically modified. They're not necessarily natural, but they kind of become these gigantic superhuman defenders of humanity, sort of the angels of death for humanity. It's very hard to imagine how They lived their lives. Space Marine 2 creative director Oliver Hollis Lecken told me in an interview shortly after the shooter launched in September. Uh, they're so far from our daily lives and concern, we have to find a way to bridge that extreme mentality with something more human that could be connected to by the fans, by the audiences, by the players, so that we could actually make sense of their story rather than them being fanatical killing machines, because it's, hard to like those characters. Agree to disagree here. I think they might be pretty cool. In particular, Saber would like Space Marines under your control of. Saber wants to like the Space Marines under control. Protagonists Dimitri and Titus, and his subordinates Carrion, Gadriel. Together, says Holick, the trio form a window into the difficult light of a Space Marine, where the threat of corruption on every side is its real threat, and you have to be firm, unwavering. And then if you get on the right side of them, there's an absolute brotherhood and sacrifice that you get from it. Without spoiling too much, there's mistrust within the team. Of course, he's kind of just describing the plot of Space Marine. So the narrative director pushed back on some of the do's and don'ts they received from Games Workshop about the Space Marine vocabulary. They deviated from reporter guy plays Tal guaranteed. Exactly. He identifies with the space communists. They deviated from the suggested phraseology to make Titus comrades sound less strange and antiquated, less like the Spanish Inquisition, more like soldiers from the real present militaries, which is kind of an interesting choice. The Space Marines don't necessarily say things like dismissed. Leckett observe. God, these names. There's a line of the game where Atrion says company dismissed, and they really wanted me to change it to brothers attend your duties, which is not bad either, or something. But there's 3 words instead of 1, and the model was applied to language in the game. I really felt strongly that people wouldn't get it, which I could kind of see, like where it's just they modernize it a little bit to make it more concise, which would make sense at like a military standpoint. It's saying something about how accustomed I am to obstinately the parodic figure of the Space Marines being portrayed as heroes, that I didn't really question the desire to make you like and get the fanatical killing machines at the time. To be clear, I don't think Saber are deliberately and consciously trying to kindle empathy for literal fascist enforcers in Space Marine 2. So this guy is just absolutely ridiculous. Guys, I'm media literate here. They're the bad guys, by the way. They're fascists. Yes, in the world where every race is trying to kill each other, these guys aren't spreading democracy around here. As giant, killing machine races like the Tyranids that literally just exist to devour everything, or orcs that just, fight, show up, infect a world, and just, fight everything. Yeah, they're not here to, spread, free elections and democracy to the world, which actually would make them fascist by this guy's, I'm sure by this guy's definition too, because if you try and spread democracy to other nations, you're colonizing them. So either way, these are the bad guys, according to him. And you guys got to know this. Still, it would have been useful to dig into what it means to be Space Marines, to make Space Marines likable, because 40K today has an issue, and this is where we get to the real meat of it, guys. Has an issue with a certain group of players actively identifying with them. And this is really what it's about. It's, certain people find Space Marines cool, certain groups of people that this writer doesn't like because they disagree with him politically. They don't support all of his own moral beliefs, and that makes them wrong. And he doesn't like the fact that they like Space Marines because a guy, men being sort of tough, aggressive, shooting, shooting stuff that isn't, that's a threat to humanity, because they're different, and of course they do threaten the world. That he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that. They're too militaristic. Their guns are too real. They're too manly, and he doesn't like that certain players like that stuff. It needs to be. They need to be weaker. They're fascists. We should all agree that they're super Nazis, even though the most popular group in the tabletop. They've helped make the tabletop what it is. They are essentially the good guys. They hate the fact that Space Marines are considered the good guys, that the Imperial Man is considered the good guys, because why would a smart, really big-brained guy identify with human beings? I mean, if you have all the races are essentially bad in 40K, except maybe Tau. I guess Tau is not the bad guy according to them, but they're still the bad guy. They're space communists. They don't really want to spread equalism. They have their own caste system, so people are essentially becomes slave caste to these groups. But in all of this, in this sort of very dark and grim future, that people would actually identify with the human race is apparently something this guy can't get because they're fascists. So exactly how far this extends is unclear, but the game's fascist subculture is significant that Games Workshop felt moved to publish statements disavowing outright bigots, reminding the tabletop community that the Imperial Man is a send-up of fascism, of empire and murderous patriarchs, not an endorsement. Oh, no. They had to send that out, which is, of course, because people like this guy are complaining and super worried that, oh no, people I don't like Space Marines and like 40K. This is a bad thing. Please stop them. Please speak out against them. They don't, they're not 100% supportive of gays and castrating children. So we need a statement, please, to against these bigots. We need to know that you're on our side, right, Games Workshop? The company's outspoken is praiseworthy, and there's argument that much of this out of their hands. Every community harbors extremists who read against the grain. Yeah, they don't have the right media literacy. But Games Workshop is also guilty of hypocrisy. Here in that modern 40K is a far cry from the satire it once claimed to be. Back in the 1980s, 40K could have been called counterculture. Its loopy, your fascist universe, a warping of the, what the heck is this? Thatcher's, you're right, Britain and Cold War. Oh, what is this supposed to be, like something on Margaret Thatcher? Anyway, it's artwork and characterization, subversion of their feckless jamming together of devices from 2000 AD, Milton and Dune, but over time, the license holders have softened and consolidated the wackier elements in order to make 40K more sellable. Exactly. This is how this product actually turned good. It used to have female Space Marines, but then nobody bought the female Space Marines. They used to, maybe it was wackier, but then they realized, hey, this cooler version of Space Marines sells a whole lot better. People actually like them. Not the extremists. Just in general, they like these Space Marines better because they're cool. These guys are cool and likable. They're not trying to make them likable. They are likable because they go down, they defend humanity. They're masculine. The symbolism on it is cool. It speaks to people. There's, a certain, good versus evil element to this, where the Space Marines are good. They have the sort of religious symbology, which, isn't necessarily Christian, but, it is. He even mentions this down here, that, he discusses Space Marines' best-selling miniature has matured from a jackbooted bully into the doty and dogmatic paladins that are space paladins, essentially, endowed with tactical aesthetic, ready-made for modern third-person shooters. Let's away from the colorful exaggeration of the 1980s, much closer to the real-life military gear of Special Forces operations. Yeah, men like this stuff. Men like the military. They like that guns and fighting and all that cool stuff. It speaks to them. That's what wargaming is. That's why wargaming was popular, because it's based on war. Men like war. and battles and violence. That's just a part of masculinity that is enjoyable to people. I mean, you can't obviously take part in real life violence. That would be that goes against sort of social norms. But hey, you could still enjoy violence by proxy through wargaming and video games and all that cool stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. But this Mr. What's his name here, Edwin Evans Thurwell, just cannot understand that. And of course, I always like this. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really stupid. But let's read this a little bit. Colin notes, one of the outcomes of Space Marine as a real world soldier has become more appealing to actual military institutions, so that often proven allies or spawning grounds. So often proven to be allies or spawn for fascists. By the way, fascist is just a code word for people he doesn't like. It's not actual fascist, or maybe it is. Who knows? In some cases, it might be. He comments scathingly on the presence of U.S. Oh no, the U.S. Army is trying to recruit at 40K tournaments because a place that attracts young men might also be a place where people recruit for the military. He is seemingly unimpressed by the recent diversity washing of the settings Ubermensch in Space Marines 2, where Cherry and Gadriel are a non-white ethnicity, much to the chagrin of certain reactionary Warhammer players, and by games for effort to market the most vicious of fables to young teenagers and children, even as older enthusiasts show up to the events in Nazi regalia. And I clicked on this link. It's just like some guy in like South America had some stuff on it. Wow, that's crazy. Or a cheeky portrayal of, I love this, noted Hitler sympathizer Donald Trump. Ah, yes. The noted Hitler sympathizer Donald Trump as a present-day God Emperor, which I mean is cool. Donald Trump as shown like as the Emperor. Always fun. But of course, you just see this sort of dripping left-wing loser that this person is. It's like, oh my God, some people betray Donald Trump as the emperor. That's crazy. It's fascism, guys. Cosmic praise of the 40K gradually grim darkening deserves to be read alongside. Let me read Susan Songton essay on fascinating fascism, and let me read that. Blah blah blah. And then, of course, recently echoed. Let's see. Let me go on. Sonding touches on the various what it means in which Nazi art, especially, has become acceptable as museum. Oh my gosh, as pop motifs, as kink, knowing and sniggering detachment of sophisticates, pissing about the tropes, with obstinate escapist inclinations to divorce art from political context and enjoy it for itself. Recently echoed by Saber. I see. So enjoying Nazi paraphernalia. I mean, there is something attractive about some of that stuff. Hugo Boss, they look good. There is certain things about it that do speak to people, like the sort of eagles, which is used in a lot of other stuff. That Hitler didn't take it. Hitler and the Nazi Party just didn't create this stuff out of whole cloth. They borrowed from stuff that was very culturally it's a culture that speaks to people. It didn't spread because it was just so far unacceptable. It spread because it was acceptable at the time. And recently there's been a large PR campaign since World War II to make it seem completely socially unacceptable. And like anything, even quasi-related to it, is apparently socially unacceptable still. Recently echoed in Saber Interactive's CEO Matt Karsh's grumbling over games that impose moral on players, a delight in breaking taboos in the case of Nazi filmmaker Lena. So somehow he tries to tie the CEO Matt Karsh's saying that games shouldn't impose moral on players to enjoying Nazi paraphernalia or wanting them as part of museums. Which why is Nazi art not acceptable as a museum piece. How is that? The stuff he like ties in together is crazy. Like, yeah, it's part of history. Why wouldn't they be put in a museum? And somehow, like liking Nazi stuff and not wanting to impose morals on players are somehow related. They're one and the same, or it's tangentially related here. And breaking taboos, uh, and somehow it's related to a Nazi filmmaker desire to become a prominent female artist for feminism. Uh, this piece is just so insane with what they want. And he goes on. I'm not going to go uh, any far in it. Of course, he does have to bring up female space marines. This mentality camouflages bigotry. Take the backlash against the concepts. Wow, you must be a bigot if you don't want female space marines. This again. The reason the group is cool because it is sort of like dogmatic space paladins. It's a brotherhood in some ways, like very like priesthood, religious sort of sect, religious warrior sect as in space. So then, once you add females to it, I mean, this is strictly being done because, again, people like this are uncomfortable with how masculine it is, how much masculine normal men enjoy Space Marines, and this is why they need to make it lamer. They need to add female Space Marines to use as a wedge to sort of like cudgel people against it. Uh, people that enjoy Space Marines against it, like, cool, female Space Marines, haha. And then, of course, the fact that you get female Space Marines are going to add, some female Space Marine character in it that's, super badass, that talks down to other men. Like, it'll just make it so much worse. Again, the same thing they've done to, like, every piece of art. They're just going to make this lamer and lamer. And this is what they do, because this one speaks to the boy club undertowing the wargaming scene. Yeah, men like wargaming. Men are the primary people that play Warhammer 40K, and of course, this is a bad thing. Apparently, having it being a boys' club is terrible. Games Workshop, couldn't simply sell. They mentioned it couldn't enough boxes of mixed gender Space Marines, and they rewrite the lore to justify shipping only male miniatures. Yeah, that's a great way of how the market made the product better. They listened to their audience. They saw who was buying it. And of course, they did that. They made it male only, and it's been successful because of that. Nowadays, this business technicality has become an artifact of faith among certain male players. Most male players is what he wants to use here, but he's not going to, because he's going to downplay how popular it is, which makes the introduction of new marine adjacent factions of misgender custodies not just an attempt to attract women to gaming, but a form of heresy. You don't need to attract women to gaming. It's a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. They're not interested, and if they are, they'll be interested in other races. You have stuff like Sisters of Battle. You have Eldar as a very what should I say? There's a lot of female players. Yeah, it's kind of like an elf race. I actually could see that being attracted to female players. But yeah, again, he goes on and on and on this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just an absolute. Let's see how he ends it. Let's see how he ends this. Looking at the posse, you can always tell this. The people that write like this are just the biggest losers. Guys, I'm smart. I'm media literate. Look at this posse of pantomime idiots touting their stupid props. These Mitchmass fools glorying their own placidness. These ciphers glued together from, look at him rant, from the car boot salvage. I don't get any sense of masculine power. I feel a feeling of being swept up into an imperial brotherhood of righteous loathing and suspicion. Instead, I see an ethos of self-deprecating abandon and all above, an embrace of disparity with these things. Space Marines are now known for patriarchal rage, absolute dominion and destruction, reduced to gaudy foreground elements picked up and brandished like toys. I don't like these figures in the way Saber Interactive would have us emphasize with Titus and Co., but I'm curious about them. I'd like to know where they're going. Yeah, hopefully this guy has no no influence whatsoever on Games Workshop or anybody. He needs to get in the crystal. We need to lock these people up in crystals before they ruin anything else. He just, I mean, when you have, I guess maybe when you have zero testosterone or they hate men, they just cannot understand why people like these characters or why people like Space Marines in general. Yeah. And people wonder why I call a lot of the college majors finger painting majors. They pay money to say they can write with the slop. Yep. He just, hey guys, look at my big words. I know how to use a thesaurus. Oh, he mentioned Gamergate at some point. Post Gamergate alt-right movement that helped elevate Trump to God Emperor. Again, like he really hold on a sec. Donald Trump is a clown. He's got to put that in there, just so you know. Just so you know, he's not on their side. God, I hate Donald Trump. I hate my dad. Well, alt-right. How dare anyone alt-right or anyone right of myself like Space Marines? Guys, quit liking this stuff. Excel at making biddery seem harmless by presenting it as edgy humor. Oh boy, man, what an article. We'll mention it, but like this is, again, I think this is common sentiment, unfortunately, with a lot of journalists and Western creatives. Then they are they're constantly pushing to shame Games Workshop, shame Saber Interactive into making these people less, making Space Marines less likable, making them less masculine. Like, guys, if you guys make this, these guys don't express every single view we support. Therefore, you should make them uncool. Either A, you need to make them like gay, unmasculine, and the stuff that we like, or you need to make them uncool. Because if you make people that promote values that we don't support cool, then that somehow makes that spread in real life, and that's not good. That's not good. We can't promote brotherhood. We can't promote faith. We can't promote military, manly men in like militaristic gear. That's not good. That's not what a real man should be. Real man votes for Kamala Harris. But anyway, let's move on from this. I'll take a drink and we'll move on to Castlevania. Another good example of sort of like the good ruining the sort of like good and evil, is they just can't stand it. They can't stand this guy being good, seen as good, because he doesn't represent what they think a good man should be. So this was something that came up on Twitter. This isn't new. This Castlevania anime isn't I don't know, actually it's more of a cartoon. I think it's made in the West. So I love this explanation they give in Castlevania where it isn't a religious thing, but the fact that their eyesight is so advanced that intersecting angles literally confuse them to a point of panic. Is it a false explanation? Not really, but it's funny. So this is this idea, like they brought it up, Castlevania trying to explain away why this symbol affects him. And here is the clip.
See? Sign of the cross.
Mm-hmm. Did the vampire hunter die in India? Because Hindu vampires wouldn't have the faintest idea why he was waving a cross at them.
Actually, no. You see, vampires are basically an evolved predator species, so their eyesight is pretty different to ours. Turns out that if you put a big geometric shape right up close in their field of vision, it confuses the shit out of their brains and, makes them panic.
Yes, you see, because why would a Hindu vampire know what the sign of cross is? I mean, obviously being from a different culture means you're not afraid of universal symbols of good. So God doesn't really have any power in this universe of vampires. And at one point, this guy fought death, like a giant skeleton death, named Death. So yeah, why would there be supernatural things like God in it, or Jesus? Why would he have power in this world of the supernatural? And this is the sort of ridiculousness of it, of stuff like this, where they want to borrow these cultural symbols, but then sort of like strip the stuff that they don't like out of it, which is essentially white culture. Because I mean, when you think about Christianity, it is a hallmark of even like American culture. Christianity was there at the very beginning. It's a Protestantism coming over here. Christopher Columbus discovering America, spreading Catholicism and Christianity throughout it. Europe, again, very Christian centered. So a lot of this culture is built around this sort of stuff, and something like the sign of the cross being a universal symbol for goodness, mercy, grace, all that stuff. But this makes these showrunners uncomfortable. They don't like that, so they need to make up excuses why. Why would a Hindu vampire, realize or like be affected by God? Because he wouldn't know that. He wouldn't know what that is, so he wouldn't be affected by it. It's not. It's just the symbology that they're afraid of, not the actual power of God. And you just ruin the reasoning behind it. I mean, the whole reason the vampires, and it's important to note that Castlevania was made by a Japanese company. They're not necessarily Christian. They just realized that this symbol is cool. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people brought that up, X-Runner. The other symbols of Indo-Asian origin. Yeah, there's another symbol that has a lot of right angles on it that is a slightly different, used by a certain German fascist organization in the 1940s that some other people might know. That I guess vampires are really scared of that, which is kind of ironic since I've seen some criticisms of Bram Stoker's Dracula, where they're saying like the vampires are like an allegory for Jews. But that prey on young white women and suck their blood and like sort of like underneath being some like sort of ancient cultural force underneath that's slowly preying on white people. So that's interesting. But to get back into it, this Japanese, they know that they're not like necessarily Christians, but they know that the sort of Christian symbols are an important part of what makes something like vampires, the sort of like vampire and versus like a vampire hunter, interesting. It's good versus evil. It's not science versus evil, which is sort of so ironic that the liberals would like. Yeah, it's just acute angles. It's just some scientific innovation that we found out that are advanced predator species. So the right angles mess them up. We're using science to fight evil. Science has become their sort of religion. But people were quick to point out, this is from Not Haruna 47. This is the most retarded explanation for a series based on a game where a big majority of the characters have wholly based attacks. I think this might be Richter here. Obviously this symbol of Christ on the crucifix, destroying these creatures of darkness. This is, again, classic symbolism of good versus evil. It's not necessarily religious per se, but borrows the symbolism because it's powerful. It's ingrained into our culture. And even, the Japanese recognize it as such. But people within our own culture decide that they need to explain it away. And this is the opening of Castlevania 3. This is from Sump Coon on Twitter. The opening of Castlevania 3 depicts Trevor kneeling before the cross in a prayer of contemplation, as if to receive his mission from God Almighty to destroy evil. The visual setups encapsulate the game and franchise's overall dramatic framework in a context of faith. And this is why it was so popular and endures, because you can understand it on like an emotional level. He's praying here, and then he goes out. Sort of Castlevania theme plays, and he goes out and fights. So that's an important part of what makes Castlevania work. Trying to make it right angles is dumb. Is dumb, and it makes it worse. It makes the art worse. But they just cannot get over it because, again, Christianity is pro-white. It's a white part of white culture. They hate a lot of this DEI stuff and this woke stuff, if you want to go into it, overall is just sort of hatred of white people. And they need to get rid of that. They can't have Christianity be good because Christianity is, again, primarily white. Not exclusively white, but culturally it was spread by peoples and cultures that they think is white and oppressors. So they cannot promote it. But let's get into this. We're going to go to magic. Let me rearrange some stuff. But let's move on. We're going to go to Magic the Gathering, and we'll talk about a few things. I just took some clips from it to say it. And then Magic, we'll get into like Angels as well during this, but this was their big thing to announce their announcements for next year. Something like Magic Con in Las Vegas. So let's take a look how this starts out.
One of the things we talk about a lot at Wizards and in the Magic studio is that Magic is for everyone.
Magic is for everyone, of course. It's multicultural.
Yes, that deserves a lot of applause.
Yeah, it deserves a lot of applause. Magic. Here's the irony. Magic is for everyone. They go to the crowd. It's almost all men, and primarily white men too. I love it when they show the crowd. Like, how many women? Where's old one, two? Maybe that's a woman. But, dude, white 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 dude, Asian dude, maybe another Asian dude here. White, that guy's kind of Asian. Maybe white guy, white guy, white guy, white guy. Tons of white men. It's for everybody. It's just always white men, full of white men, totally sustained by white men. But yeah, it's for everybody, guys. It's for everybody. Woo! And everybody means not white people. Like, we need to make sure we show that we don't favor white people, white men at all. Good morning, Boris. Good to see you.
I think this whole convention, this whole space is a testament to that fact that Magic is for everyone.
Magic is for everyone. And white men need to step aside. Because that's what everyone means.
I'm Jackie Jones. I lead.
So this is Jackie Jones here. She started in 2001. Magic's a good hand with Jackie Jones, I'm sure.
The creative team for Magic. We are a interdisciplinary team of world-class creatives from.
Interdisciplinary team of world-class creatives. The second I hear something like this, I'm like, uh-oh.
Narrative designers and writers to art directors and illustrators to graphic designers, producers, who all bring our different gifts.
Just sounds like complete bullshit.
Together to create the amazing characters and world stories and art
that
really brings Magic as a game and
as
a brand to life.
They're really knocking it out of the park. You'll see.
Let's throw up Herald of Eternal Dawn.
Okay, so another thing that we did. Oh, you got to read it.
Yeah.
So this was the thing that kind of sparked me to look into some of the art, because I'm like, you see these two versions of the card. One is clearly Asian. The other is black. So angels are, especially as a cultural symbol in American culture or European culture, they're depicted as white. That's, like I said, again, the sort of Christian symbolism is very white. A lot of the Renaissance paintings, I mean, you can look, here's some Renaissance paintings. Here's Michelangelo, or not Michelangelo, Archangel Michael, vanquishing Satan. This was by Raphael. Obviously, white guy, wings. This is where a lot of like the angel symbology that's kind of used here gets its origin from, with like the halos and the feathered wings. You've got three archangels here. You see the wings, sword. A lot of this, they're all white here. They're casting, a demon down here. And then, just kind of look at the symbology here. You have angels, in these sort of, dresses, or I guess they're almost like robes, very flowing. A lot of the symbology used is they're white. This is from like Renaissance. So it's a very important symbol for European and a white culture. And then it's sort of subverted because you can't have any sort of pro-white, especially showing white people as good. That needs to be subverted in modern art. So you have sort of the Herald of Eternal Dawn. You gotta make them Asian or make them black. And I did look into this. Like, is this something that was commonplace in Magic modern? And let's take a look. I collected some pictures. This is from 2019. Kind of shows that they can still make sort of a traditional looking angel. It's very pretty. This is Angel of Dawn. But then you sort of get into Angel of Destiny. This is from 2020. Again, sort of like brownish. I think it's kind of like the Zendikar area. Again, this is like, and they do like make some like evil, corrupted angels. Like when you go into like the black color pie, be kind of like a wicked version of an angel. Now they're like some like green, darker skinned thing. Raphael is also my favorite turtle as well. And then here we go. They're black angel with sort of like weird, like statue wings. Another black angel. Well, that's interesting. This one isn't necessarily white. This is from like their Norse. I believe their Norse set. We like focus on like Norse mythology, which had a lot of black people in it for some reason. It's weird. When you do like a white sort of culture set, there ends up being a lot of colored people in it. And this, their Aztec set, they made sure everyone was like Mexican looking, or South American, non-white. Interesting. Again, this is a I think it was like Kaldheim, a whitish looking angel, not really white looking, kind of Asian looking. Although we have these giant black woman as an angel. This is like modern Magic. Again, black, white again. Black angel as well. Here we go, another black angel. Very more traditional, and then like so they make like some creepy ones. And this is another very dark skinned angel. Weird. It's weird. They're all black. This art was ridiculous. Look at her face. Holy moly. Guess she's white. She looks psychotic, but white, and like another twisted version, kind of white. This is like an older character, and this one does not look white at all. Maybe white, but kind of dark skinned, kind of Asian looking angel. Very different too. The traditional angels, white, but again, berserker one, crazy. Black again. That's weird. So many of these are colored skin. These are older characters from like the early 2000s when the Zendikar was out. Zendikar World Wake, so they don't really count in my opinion. And then it's always funny. I threw this one in. This is the 2002. Whenever you ask Japan or like an Eastern culture to make an angel, they give you something that's more traditional than what the West will give you. They understand, like, angel, okay, we'll make her light skinned, give her like red or blonde hair, and make them very, very beautiful. Meanwhile, you have these like subversive, looking angels here. Like, that's how lovely. It's like again, sort of like this was so lame. Good Lord, look at this art, guys. I've got my color spray gun here again. More brown people as angels, or dark skinned people as angels. Just like this is such modern art. It's ridiculous. This is modern Magic to a T. Girl power, guys. This is from Kaldheim, kind of like twisted looking, darker one. Again, very few white people depicted as angels. I like this, guys. This is their humor here. This is holy cow, because guys, it's a boar or an ox with wings. It's like an angel. So the name of the card is Holy Cow. They're very funny people over at Magic. Yeah, and This one, doesn't look white at all. One of the rare angels that are kind of traditional and white. I think this is because it's from Zendikar. Not white again. This is Linvala. I really like this artwork. Again, Linvala is an older character, so they had to keep her white. They couldn't, just rape swap her for no reason. That might have made people upset. So this is actually, a good-looking angel. And again, this is Linvala again, which, again, beautiful artwork here. But, they had to keep her white. Again, traditional-looking, sort of loosely based on the Christian symbolism. Gotta make, again, dark-skinned angel. She's black. It's not a bad-looking art. I like the color on it, but, again, can't show white people is good. That would be bad. Another, again, Asian, not human, rare. Again, rare. This is more traditional. Rare occurrence. Black again. Mexican. Gotta have. This is Restoration Angel, which is an older card, but now she's black. They seem, again, very against making these people as white. This might be white, but they turn into a monster. Again, traditionally, like once every four cards. This is probably the best modern art of an angel I've seen. Very well done. I think she's white, though. The sort of backlighting darkens her skin, but very good looking art. Good job to the artist there. I don't think they have it on here. One of the few, I'm like, wow, this is really nice looking. And that's giant man jaw. It's all right. I don't know if that's white or not. They can't tell, and not really white. Or at least, it's kind of weird, grayish color. Again, black. They're really making black angels. I don't get what it is. Maybe they just have to show we can't have our symbol of good be white all the time. That would be bad. Champ Sigarda is an older character. Stalwart Factory. And then it's just sort of weird looking. But this is from Kaldheim. These are supposed to be the Valkyries here. And then kind of creepy. That's some more like a demon with with the arms. We'll just go through these pretty quickly. Wojek, black. And then if you look, I got the stuff from this is from 2020 to 2024. Here was back in the 2010 to 2014. There's less cards because they didn't crap out cards like crazy. So this is Admonition Angel again, platinum blonde, big wings, beautiful artwork. I love the artwork at Admonition Angel. It's fantastic. Again, traditional. You got the doves flying, very, very traditional symbols. Dove, the white dove, a symbol of peace, God's grace, that kind of stuff. Angel flight at blaster, very pale skin, red hair, very white. Again, just look at all these. You can just tell the difference immediately, how things have changed from in just those 10 years. They also you'll also notice some of this, they actually have cleavage in these. If you weren't paying attention to the cleavage. And a lot of them, they actually, show off. They're allowed to show off breasts in the older version. This is Aurelia again. Looks a little more angelic. She's more of a sort of gothic type of deal with Avnica. Or that's from Innistrad, I believe. Baneslayer Angel, classic. Really popular card back when I've played to fight against dueling dragons. But this is something that respects the sort of symbolism of where it's taking it from. The sort of white Christian Renaissance sort of background. Bruna, light alabaster. This one you could almost say is more darker skin, but still looks very nice. Again, they have some of the weird artwork still in the past too. It's sort of a corruption of the good. I think Deathless Angel, I didn't notice it at first, but I think she could stand to lose like 50 pounds here. Death Pack Angel. I mean, look at a Emancipation Angel, like very traditional, blonde-haired, white wings, blue eyes. This is the type of stuff they hate nowadays. Looks very nice. Very good. Oh, this is a great pose. I like this a lot. This is Fire Main Avenger. Very cool action pose. Glissa, Blade of Gold Knight. Then now they made her like an abomination. Like, again, beautiful wings, brown hair, white skin. You can't have that anymore. It needs to be destroyed. Illusionary Angel. Great artwork. I like that. And then you have to have a Nominal Angel, which is, again, very cool. Love the detail on the wings. Not kind of like a variation of an angel, but still kind of in the same vein. It's, very ethereal and it's like a very strong presence, especially with the extra light on the face. Very nice. This is Linvala, the first Linvala card. And there you go. Like, boom. White blonde hair, blue eyes, white wings. Beautiful. A Platinum Angel, classic card too. Very, very nice looking. But you can see, this is Restoration Angel, the old card. And then if you want to, let's see if I can find Restoration Angel here. She was not that far from here. That's the new. Which one do you prefer? There's the new version of Restoration Angel. That's with the old version. You can tell the difference. A beautiful flowing robe, very graceful. Blonde hair, white. And then, of course, you cannot have that today. What is good is this lady with dread, black woman with dreads. That's the new symbol of goodness in our culture. You can't have this anymore. That would be racist. Of course, Sierra Angel classic. It's not from 2010. It's before then, but iconic picture. Very good looking. Again, blonde hair, blue eyes. Maybe blue eyes, but you know what I'm saying. The giant white wings, classic sort of symbolism of Angel. There's some twisted versions. Like I said, Sigarda was an older. They just do not. You can see the difference here when you just walk through how much it's changed since the 2010s or the early 2000s. It's amazing how many more card art they have. They've really smashed it together. Where it's just they had to change it. They had to make these like black characters, black angels, because again, and I feel like it is on purpose because you cannot show white people as being, symbols of goodness anymore. When you want to make an angel, you gotta make them brown. It's very important. Like, so this might promote racism. I don't know. That's too nice looking. You can't have that. Maybe it's pro-fascist, and this just sort of shows. Here's the different Sierra Angels. This is just a certain one card. This is sort of Sierra Angel from 2003, 2004 is when that first came out. Beautiful looking. 2018, they decided to make her brown for some reason. Because, like I said, again, showing white people is good. Bad. Very bad thing. That's racist. This was the alpha version of Sierra Angel. Notice that there's a giant rack right in the front. And now, they have to be covered up now. Cleavage cannot be. And it's always damning when you give it to the Japanese and say, like, hey, make an angel. And they always return with something that's blonde-haired or red-haired. Again, beautiful. These, white wings. Very white. They always come back with these white women. Very weird. Blonde hair, blue-eyed. Again, anime. Very, very much like the other Sierra Angel. Big rack, flowing blonde hair, white wings. Interesting how the Japanese, like, oh, angel, yeah, I'll draw that, and then white people won't. You can make an angel, but it's just yelling and angry. This is an older one too. I forget what time period. It's very funny how that's evolved. This is what they want to show as an angel nowadays. It's intentional. It's not just like, hey, let's try something new. It's very much intentional that they want to make the sort of symbol, what used to be a symbol of like Christianity and goodness, as something brown and non-white. It is definitely on purpose. But let's move on. That's an aside on the sort of angels, but let's talk a little more about Magic the Gathering. I just thought this is interesting, but this is something that's underpinning a lot of art nowadays. And it is one of the reasons that art just isn't as good anymore. Because the culture that, these are based on, now this isn't an Asian thing, it's not a black thing, it's a white Christian thing. And if you have the contempt for the culture that it comes from, like, how are you going to make good art?
Another thing that we did is we went back and looked at the history of Magic and said, what do people enjoy really?
They like Platinum Angel.
We're going to bring
Magic has a lot more problems. And let's go over that too, because I'm semi-interested in Magic, and this kind of shows a lot of the issues with a lot of industries nowadays. It's not just, you could say that problems with Hasbro and Magic reflect a lot of stuff that's wrong with a lot of the geek culture and industries nowadays.
MSRP. So that's, it will mean more to some of you than others. We're going to bring back MSRP. So that's,
that is the biggest reaction.
The fact that this was the biggest cheering of this entire show. This is how sad it's become. Them saying that they're bringing back MSRP got the biggest applause in that entire show. It just amazes me.
We've gotten so far.
Nothing they announced. You did that.
You did
It was
it.
MSRP.
Yeah.
MSRP. Amazing.
Okay, guys, wait. In practice, I said the audience is going to be really excited when they say this, and they did not believe me.
We weren't sure.
Hey, we didn't believe it. MSRP was a big thing, but yes, this is the biggest reaction we got. No one's excited for our new shit.
Could have been anywhere from like, oh, yay, to like...
Saying all these future Universes Beyond sets, when they come out, they're going to be legal in every...
So this is Universal Beyond is like their other IPs. They've lost the ability to make interesting IP nowadays. Probably because they, again, a bunch of DEI hires. They hate their own culture and, the stuff that was built on, stuff like, Dungeons and Dragons and Gary Gygax. They're evil. They're bad men. They're just, old white dudes. So we can't sort of take from that well of high fantasy anymore. We need to subvert everything.
Reconstructed.
But rather than but we still need to make money. So we're just going to take other old popular IPs and then put them in our game. And now what they're going to do is make these standard legal. So like you go to a standard tournament, you're going to be playing with fucking Spider-Man cards. Like, oh, I have Chandra, I play Chandra. And, some goblins or something. Well, I play Spider-Man. Now, that's going to be really fucking cool. I play Sephiroth from Final Fantasy. Yeah, that's going to be awesome in that game. That won't ruin the aesthetics of the game at all. It won't be a fucking giant jumble of shit. No overlying aesthetic whatsoever.
We offer. So...
We'll just make that,
guys.
That's just standard. That's just standard now.
Modern, so we have been designing these sets with this goal in mind. This is not some sudden change that's going to upset any apple carts. All the 2025 sets have been thought through, play tested under this heuristic. We know things.
We're now thinking about our release calendar, Aaron.
So this is the release
calendar. So we'll
calendar.
show the specifics shortly, but the calendar for next year is half Magic Multiverse sets and half Universes Beyond sets.
So half of our own stuff, literally half of their content, their release content they're coming out with, isn't going to be their IP. They've realized that they're so bad at making new IP and like the other stuff is so popular, like Lord of the Rings and Fallout or whatever. It's so popular that they're going to release a set of a different IP. Half of their content is going to be that now, from now on, and it's going to be standard legal.
With Foundations providing that constant extra, fourth Magic theme.
I do think the Foundation idea was kind of cool. Like, we're going to have a foundation of cards that's not going but not going to rotate out for like 5 years. So you
That
don't have to
will
worry about
inject,
buying new cards
extra
if you want to play
content
the
into the
standard.
constructed format.
We at least have that
So,
sort of part
the
of it.
set is action
Oh, and of course.
packed, and it has these blockbuster set pieces. But as Mark said, underneath the surface of that, we have some really deep, heartfelt storytelling.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know this, but apparently Chandra and Nissa are gay. Wow, cool, super cool.
And one of the most
Because why
amazing
not?
parts
Why
of the
wouldn't-
story
why
is
wouldn't
we
the
get to
female
explore a
characters
little
be
bit more
gay?
about Chandra.
Yeah,
I know when
Chandra.
we last left her and Nissa off, it was the first image here at the aftermath of Martian Machines, and
I mean, the only upside is they're kind of hot, so
revisit their
them
story
making
here.
out's cool.
Chandra actually
I don't think they're gonna
enters
have
this
that.
incredibly dangerous race with the hopes of winning the coveted Aether Spark for Anissa.
Yes. Oh, it's a love
Which is,
story.
yeah,
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
So we get to explore more of their relationship,
Gay.
and yeah.
So what
Gay
Nissa would want with the
characters,
spark,
yes.
we'll have to find
Awesome.
out. But yeah.
Like our buddy Duretti.
And of course, we got to show off Reddy here. Oh, it's a goblin in a wheelchair. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool.
What could the first world be? Where could it be?
It's a fat
Who else
goblin.
likes vehicles? So,
Fat goblin
Duretti might be there.
Mechanic in a
Wedge
wheelchair.
play, you'll get it. Do you like dragons? You'll get that as
And this just shows off again, like, I got to have an Asian person showing off in the art. Elephants. Well, that was kind of cool.
well.
Jackie.
Turkey.
Again,
Everything that you-
an Asian person. None of the card art they've shown off so far has been like white, except maybe Sargon. They show off. Oh, this was an interesting thing.
Smash together.
Yeah, and speaking of worlds, that sounds like Jackie.
Turk here, yes, in this modern timeline, have picked up the banners of the old three-color clans. And as we thought about what might that look like, we really wanted to give them a fresh new look while, again, honoring where they came from and their origins. And so we worked really closely with cultural consultants to really build in a lot of depth to these clans and really bring them to life in new ways.
Cultural consultants, exactly what I need, what I want to be hired to make sure these clans are represented right.
Yep. And of course,
What you won't see is again, cultural consultant usually means no white people. And this was they're showing off the Final Fantasy cards here. Kefka poisoning the water at Doma Castle. Got lightning. That got a little reaction. This is going to be half their set is like, oh, I'm going to play a Moogle. Cool. When you're enjoying your high fantasy, probably like the only way you'll ever see like any sort of straight romance in a Magic card is Final Fantasy. So this Sephiroth was premiered, and some people pointed out that it may not be 100% legit here. This was from Geria After Dark. Wizards OTC, Wizards of the Coast is known to use Gen AI now, but I had hoped it wouldn't be allowed for a Square Enix collab, especially for someone as iconic as Sephiroth. It's clear the artists use Gen AI in their workflow. The details are just off. Gen AI tends to mess up the details, as below. So like they were in full red marker here, pointing out, I guess the katana disappears in the guard, hair strands hanging in the background, an extra buckle, not Forbidden City, that it has intricate architecture. It's not necessarily a cave, which just kind of shows like rocks and stuff. The belt buckle is off. It's different than what Sephiroth's usual belt buckle is. His jaw is squarer and sharper. There's no white bands missing from here. There's no details on the jacket. So again, not only are they making this worse, but they're also being lazier about it, using generative AI, than actually having an artist fully draw this stuff. It's crazy. I guess all in the hopes of making it cheaper and more economically viable. A game that centered around card art well, I guess and mechanics too, but card has been a big part of it. They're finding ways to cheap out more and more on it, which is insane. Especially with, you know, an extremely popular character that's going to be used.
Edge of Eternities. So one of the things that's really cool about Magic, when Magic started, it was very centered in
Edge of
sort of
Eternity.
traditional high fantasy.
A traditional high fantasy. Yeah, they threw that out the window a long ass time ago. I think, you know, with the Final Fantasy guys showing up.
But over the years...
But, you know, this is the idea of, like, they realize, yeah, it's Magic the Gathering is supposed to be high fantasy. There's supposed to be some thematic consistency through this stuff. And with the Universes Beyond, they're just throwing that in completely in the trash.
One of the things that we've been really great about is just exploring what fantasy can be and looking at all the
it can be whatever
ways that
sells,
we can
apparently.
stretch
Whatever
and
IP
go in
we
different
can
directions.
grab up, like we're Funko
I mean,
Pops.
this year's a great example with Bloomborough and Dustmore and stuff like that. But
Bloomborough was like based off Secret of Nim. It has that same vibe, which it has a fantasy vibe to it. I can see it fitting, similar like Lorwyn storybook type of stuff. Spider-Man doesn't fit in that.
New space.
Into what exploring.
Again, I just show this off again. No white woman shown; it's an Asian woman. All of this like artwork that they're showing off doesn't feature any white people in it. It's amazing, and again, intentional.
Again, science fantasy can
almost every person in that audience is white right now too, which is amazing. It's
Look
for
like
everybody,
this
guys. Magic's for everyone. We're just not going to show off any white people.
To match.
That's our last look.
And then this is an older. This is I can't pronounce the name. It's Terzurk or Tesseract, not Tesseract. It's something like that. But yeah, again, an old character.
We're
and an evil. The white guy is evil, apparently.
Flung territory here. Now, planet is reassembling it. Flung territory.
This looks so bizarre. It does. I don't think this really fits Magic the Gathering, but whatever.
Edge of Eternities. We're wandering into far-flung territory here. Now, we talked a very little bit about SPM. Mark, what is SPM?
SPM is Spider-Man.
Woo, Spider-Man. Yeah, you want to play standard? You want to play standard with Spider-Man cards? I play Green Goblin.
The Universes Beyond.
He's a flying goblin.
Bring just these amazing characters and worlds.
I'm going to play the Rhino.
Play with them.
And tap the Rhino. It's a 4/4.
This is
green
the
card.
First of our Marvel booster releases.
It's the first, guys. It's the first. They got so much Marvel slop coming out for you to enjoy in your Magic sets. Look forward to it. Look forward to all the Marvel slop we got coming down the pipeline.
When we talked about the 2025 schedule, we had Return to Lorwyn on there. What happened to that one?
Yeah, so we felt like this was enough sets. Return to Lorwyn is next up, so it's...
The people in the comments of this YouTube video were pissed by this, by the way. Because Lorwyn is I like Lorwyn too. I think it's a really cool set. Again, very like kind of storybookish. It has like a very unique take on like some of the races, where like the elves have horns. You know, there's certain like, you know, cinder, emberkin or whatever they're called, like these like black, like almost they look like, you know, burnt coal like as creatures. It's a very folklore looking stuff. And I think it turned out really well. It does fit in with the Magic, but it's kind of like different. It's different, but it fits. And they delayed this to put in Spider-Man. It was supposed to show up next year, but you know what's more important? Having Spider-Man as your set. We're not happy about that. I think a lot of Magic players are still kind of like, they're sick of it. You know, it worked. Lord of the Rings can kind of fit into this set. You know, it can fit into the world of Magic the Gathering because, of course, Lord of the Rings was what a lot of the fantasy is based off of. Western fantasy is based off of the works of Tolkien. He's sort of the guy that set the framework. Again, another white guy with a lot of white characters. But that fits. Spider-Man doesn't. It's totally different things.
First set that will be coming out in 2026.
They more and more they're realizing, yeah, these guys are creatively bankrupt. They struck gold with some of these new IPs, and they think like, yeah, we're just going to keep going. It's going to keep selling well. We'll see how well it sells.
About Lorwyn,
of course, the other thing is like their new ideas, the new sets aren't selling either because the creatives are stupid. They don't know how to. I don't think they even know how to appeal to men anymore. Like, if you ever remember that White Dudes for Harris ad, not to like bring up politics in this, but like they were supposed to appeal to men, and then they came out with a video that is just complete parody. Like no men was appealed to by it. In fact, they probably insulted more of it. It was just laughable. And I wonder, like, is this? I mean, I assume they tried, they wanted to appeal to men, but have they just lost the ability to do that?
My first loves as a Magic designer and player. And
but according to them, all the numbers are going up, so everything's good.
So this panel
Japan Showcase. So the Japan Showcase.
And of course, they can't do this, so they got to turn to Japan too.
It's a little group of cards that we debuted with Duskborn, and the idea here is to have a kind of like a fully authentic pipeline where we can create cards that are kind of really inspired by Japan, which is a real TCG epicenter of the world.
You
so
like anime, guys? We got more stuff to sell you.
He's here somewhere.
Let's check it out.
Who works the studios there, an artist there, and we just did some amazing work. We're going to keep that going, so you can expect Japan Showcase cards coming with every set. And
if you guys actually like feminine women,
including something they may not have
we'll
seen
have Japan
before.
Showcase here to help you
Let's
out.
see, we've got
yeah, so we have.
So they had to make her black in this. I'm sure they were directed to do that. Herald of Eternal Dawn cannot be white.
Herald of Eternal Dawn, Day of Judgment, Kaito's showing up, and look at that Land of Werewolves. That is no joke. So yeah, so you can expect
Looks
these.
Nice.
They'll work kind of. We're happy with how they worked in Duskborn, so you'll have the fracture foil and all that. We're going to keep the party going.
Yep, keep
So
the party
Japan
going,
Showcase
keep
is
the money
something,
flowing.
Again, in this era, it's something we're doing a lot,
Chandra.
right?
Yeah, we're just.
Looks nice.
That is no.
But anyway, let's shoot. Let's
Again,
move on.
twist coming, starting with Innistrad.
I didn't realize they're so bad they had to start remastering old stuff, which I don't know exactly what this entails, but it's so sad. So even in card games, they're starting to remaster their old stuff. Like, gosh, guys, you remember this? Yeah, we're releasing it again. That's a remaster. Insane. Even the card games have remasters. And this was the headliner
Dream
card.
Poll. Well, the headliner is just a card that we've chosen and kind of given that special title.
Super cool.
We're going to take a look at the headliner from Innistrad Remastered. This is kind of how we're going to kick things off.
This looks. Well, this got a reaction. This looks ugly as hell to me. I think it looks hideous. They removed the color from the color symbols, which is ridiculous. It doesn't look anything like a card. It's serialized. So this is like their super chase card. You get this ugly, like, what's supposed to be like a monster movie poster or something. How it's supposed to look like.
So you can see this. We have. We really took the leash off. Our teams are just going wild.
Yeah, they're going wild, all right.
You can see this card is not your ordinary card, not your ordinary Edgar Markov.
It looks like crap.
Of the
and then like regular Edgar Markov, that fits. These look pretty nice.
Headliner, which is kind of that ultimate chase version. Again, it's a way to.
And then they have to have 3 different versions of the same freaking card. Amazing. How much they just try to like milk the ever living hell out of their audience. And it's like Aether Spark. I'm going overtime here, so that's just Secret Lair. Again, this art looks like shit. Like, what is this crap on the right? This is appealing to these like trendy Redditors. My Reddit last thing. Oh, this is their new Secret Lair. Again, this is supposed to be Magic's supposed to be high fantasy, and they continue to ruin it. Like, I like SpongeBob. I got nothing against SpongeBob, but like, I mean, do you have to make it? This is supposed to be like have like some element of coolness to it. Supposed to have some element of seriousness. I mean, they do have like some like joke sets, but that was kind of like an exception, not a rule, to sort of break up all the seriousness of it. But nowadays, like, you got Spider-Man. You literally have Spider-Man sets and Final Fantasy sets. They're not taking their IP serious. So then when you throw in a SpongeBob, like, ugh. There's just something about it that seems very sad. My heart goes out to any Magic the Gathering players that took this shit seriously. They 100% don't have ideas.
So,
like, this is their ideas. And this was just a video to show off. Oh, it's a little girl's party. This is like, how authentic is this Magic the Gathering experience for you? This little girl really wants to buy Magic cards. Totally. Do I want to play in the... Let me flash back to when I first was a kid. Whoa.
Is this your first pack?
Is this your first pack?
You should come back for Friday Night Magic.
You should come back for Friday Night Magic. He's skateboarding. Remember skateboarding? I did do this. I hate the fact that he's wrapping it in a rubber band.
I know.
It's triggering me, but...
What are you doing?
What are you doing,
Nothing.
loser?
I go. I need to teach my brother something.
I need to teach my brother something. How to not be gay.
Come with me.
Come with me. Oh. Oh, wait. The older sister was a Magic player. Yeah, there were so many girls playing Magic at the time.
Play? I'm going to put down a mountain.
Wow.
And play a Kurt Ape.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Women played Magic all the time back in the day. Don't you remember that, guys?
I'm trying to build up this Liliana deck.
Oh,
You need chocolate.
You need a shock. Yeah, women played again.
What do you have?
Women played Magic all the time back in the day. Don't you guys remember that? Going in the office, I'm playing Magic. Wow, another women show up.
I didn't know you played.
I didn't. Wow, that's so cool.
I do.
Women are always impressed when you're playing Magic the Gathering. It's super cool. And look how thin she is. The most real about is how thin all these people are.
Okay, now that we
I got married and had a kid thanks to Magic the Gathering.
Let's go pull from our deck my favorite Planeswalker card.
Now I'm teaching my baby how to play
So
Magic.
now Daddy's going to cast his Liliana Planeswalker.
Yeah, I want to play.
Yeah, I want to play.
We'll teach you.
Wow. It's amazing that's 50-50 split between men and women playing Magic the Gathering. Perfect split. Wow. Magic the Gathering. Totally happened, guys. Anyway. I think I actually did go I've gone past what I wanted. Eve, I remember, just to touch on this, I remember when they said, like, yeah, these outfits aren't censored. Here's the actual body model for Eve in the actual outfit versus what they had to do. It's funny. People are saying, yeah, these outfits weren't censored, when they had to put, like, a transparent cloth over the wrist to get it past censors. And, of course, Monster Hunter Wilds beta for everyone starting on October 31st. Going to be awesome. But that's it for the video, guys. Please like, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you again next week. Oh, also, if you haven't seen it, I did an interview with Ryan on his channel for Red Morning on Saturday. It was a lot of fun. Be sure to check it out, and I'll redirect to the rule post zero, guys. Let's see. Let me get the edit in here. And we will redirect. Let's see if I got it here. Does Red Hawk put it up yet? I think it's on Red Hawk's channel. Let me see if I can find it in. Let me go to Google to post. All right, let me find it. Thing is, I'm pretty sure I'm subbed to him. Yeah. Why it doesn't show up is beyond me. YouTube never beating the allegations of Oh, I see. I can't redirect to it. That's why. Unfortunately, I can't. I'll just leave the link in the bottom of the description. Maybe you didn't enable it, or I thought you had to, like, above a certain amount of subs be able to do it. But here we go. There you are. That's a redirect to the Post Zero. If you're interested in that, they're just going to be, it's a show about nothing. They're just going to be talking, messing around. Should be very fun. I'll see you guys. I won't be there. I got a party to attend, so I'll see you guys next week. Look forward to it. Bye-bye.